Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 3 of the Funnels Marketing Podcast. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 common mistakes I see people make when they launch their funnels. Let's get into it.
Whether you're an established business owner or an entrepreneur with a vision, the Funnels and Marketing Podcast has the tips and strategies you need to build funnels that convert and marketing that grows your business. And now, your host, Mark Haberstock.
All right, I'm going to dive right in on this one, but right before I do, let's take a quick look at the 5 areas of mistakes that I'm going to cover. So the first is your offer sequencing. Number 2, knowing your numbers. Number 3, your value stack. Number 4 is copywriting. And number 5 is testing. So let's start looking at number 1. The number 1 mistake I see is people building funnels before fleshing out their value ladder or their offer, okay? So the one thing that'll affect the structure and the flow of your funnels the most is your offer and how that offer fits with your value ladder. You should never be in a position where you're adding products at the last minute and trying to find a place for them to be placed. What ends up happening is you wind up with one of those funnels that has disjointed offers. We've all been through them, right? Now, funnels that seem to have never-ending upsells can be really annoying to your customer when you don't execute them very well. And when you do execute them well, then they're really, really profitable. If you look at people like Russell Brunson and you look at his book funnels, if you think that they were just thrown together as he went, then you're absolutely crazy. He starts by mapping out his value ladder and arranging the products in a way that makes sense. Then he structures his funnels accordingly. Okay, remember, your funnel shouldn't be structured based on the structure that you want them to go through. It should be structured based on the flow that they need to go through to take them from not knowing who you are, who your product is, if your funnel is targeted towards cold traffic, to being a raving fan on the other end, right? And what funnel do they need to go through? Okay, so don't just look at somebody else, copy their funnel and think that it's going to work. Okay, you need to take a look at the actual sequence that you're going to move them through. And the sequence of offers that your funnels take people through, they need to make sense, with each offer being the next logical thing that your customer needs at that time, right? Each offer needs to, in a way, build upon the last, right? So here's one great way to make sure that your funnels make sense. You can draw a line on a piece of paper and at one end, put your client's current before status, right? The struggles that they're dealing with now. And at the other end, you can put their after status, okay, where they want to be. And along the line, plot the steps that they need to take to get from where they are now to where they want to be. Then insert your offers onto that map. And the order that your offers show up should correlate more or less to the same order that they're going to be offered in the funnel. Of course, there's always going to be exceptions to this, but for most people, it'll give you a really good idea of how to sequence your offers in a way that makes sense to your customers. Now, the number 2 mistake, not understanding what it's going to take to break even. What if you build your funnel only to realize you would need unrealistic conversion rates just to break even? Obviously, it's a lot easier to forecast your numbers when you already have funnels running and offers converting. Typically, you can use that as a baseline. If you don't, then you want to use 2 different scenarios at a minimum. You want a best case scenario and, of course, a worst case scenario. The best case scenario is going to be more or less just so that you know your numbers and what's possible. It's what you're aiming for. The worst case scenario is there to make sure that even if the funnel underperforms, you aren't bleeding money. If you can still break even on a low performing funnel, then you at least have the ability to make changes and split tests and optimize the funnel instead of shutting it down defeated and staring at your wallet wondering what just happened. Okay? When you can break even, it buys you a little bit of time to work with. If your funnel is bleeding money right from the get-go, most people just don't have the money that it's going to take to split test and optimize the funnel, okay? So there are a couple different ways that you can find out your best and worst case scenario, okay? You can map out your funnel on paper or in really any program and just manually do the calculations. If you do have the budget for a tool to help you with this, then I definitely recommend something like Funnelytics. Not only can it map out your funnels visually, but you can forecast how it's going to perform by entering different variables, okay? Now, there's other options like Garu, I think, if that's how you say it, that'll do the same thing. If you're looking for a free tool to help you do this, I would definitely recommend marketplan.io. And I'll have links to all of this down in the show notes. And marketplan.io will allow you to plan out and forecast your funnels in a map absolutely free. Now, the third mistake that I see very commonly is you're not justifying the value of your offer and your stack. This is a big one. I see this way too often, and it used to actually work 5-6 years ago. But it's really important to understand that marketing's changing. People are more accustomed to buying online. They've seen a lot of the same marketing tactics used before and sales tactics used before, and they're getting smarter. They're starting to understand, and they're starting to call BS on certain things that they're going to see. Okay, so what happens a lot of times is people don't realize the value that you have attached to your offer. So what I see often is that people don't realize that the value you have attached to your offer and your bonuses and your stack, it means absolutely nothing to your audience. Nothing. What matters is how they perceive that value. So when I'm working with clients, it's really common to have them give me their value stack. And a lot of times they can't actually justify or back up the values. And then we have to revisit that when we're building out the funnel. And people will tell me, well, what do you think it should be? But that's not how it works. Okay. So a lot of people are used to just throwing around wild numbers. You see this on webinars all the time. And when the numbers aren't realistic to your audience, remember, it can be realistic to you, but that doesn't matter, right? When they aren't realistic to your audience, then it loses its effect completely. People just ignore it. And some people even find it scammy, okay? Like if you're looking at a product that, you can buy this product somewhere or this course somewhere, and they're all, $2,000 courses, let's just say, or, $2,000 products, for example, and you're attaching a value of, $65,000 on it. You really have to do a lot of work to justify that, right? You can't just say, well, this is worth $65,000. Why is that? How can you justify that? So a few different ways you can justify it, for example, is to show them multiple case studies, not just a one-line testimonial or a screenshot from your WhatsApp or your Facebook account, okay? But actual case studies where people have made that much money with you. Then you can say something like, so you can see how in the right hands, this program is worth $20,000 because I've shown you John, Sarah and Ashley that have all taken this program and it's made them $20,000. Okay, so there's one way to justify it. If you're a SaaS company, right, software as a service, you can justify the value by showing them the savings on the other tools they can get rid of by using yours. So again, I'll take you back to ClickFunnels because they were a great example. When they first started, their whole sales pitch was based on you can do everything with our one tool and look at the money you're going to save. And what they did was they went to, the email service providers. And yeah, they found some of the more expensive ones. Obviously, they didn't look at MailChimp because it's free. They looked at, some of the mid to high range. But the ones that brand new marketers would actually be looking at. They didn't go look at Infusionsoft's prices because they knew that their target market wasn't considering that price anyway. So again, they want to make sense of it. They want to attach a value that these people have seen. They're saying, have you paid $60 to $100 a month for your email, for your autoresponder? And then the audience can sit there and say, yeah, you know what? I actually am. I'm paying about $80 a month for the autoresponder. Great. We're going to save you that much. You can take that, put it back in your pocket. Okay. How much are you spending on, your funnel builder every month? Are you paying, $30 a month or $40 a month for that? You know what? Yeah, I am. I'm paying for my website hosting or for Wix or whatever, cheap thing that they were using at that time that wasn't anywhere near as good. And they show them their savings. They say, okay, that's included with this. And they went through all of these different things. How much are you paying for your payment processor and for this and that? And they went through all the tools that you could save by using ClickFunnels. And the values they attached to it were values that you could just go look up. If this person says, well, no, I'm gonna find a cheaper way, they go and look and they can't actually find a cheaper way because they know that all those tools added up. The cost of them is going to be more than ClickFunnels. And that's why it sold so well, is because the payments were all justified. They just weren't wildly, created numbers. All right. So you really want to always give a realistic value. If you're selling a course and saying that its value is $60,000, but you're selling it for $297, and you don't back that up, I can almost guarantee you that people are just ignoring it if they're not turned off by it altogether. It's definitely not helping their decision and not increasing your conversions. Okay. So the number 4 mistake is not crafting your copy before you build your funnel. Okay. Now let me explain. Not crafting your copy isn't really a huge mistake. It's more just a general rule of thumb, but it's probably not going to kill your conversions if you don't do it. All right. But I wanted to include it today because it can drastically increase your conversions and make building your funnel a whole lot easier if you do. And not just your funnel, but your email sequences, your video sales letters, every piece of marketing. It really helps, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not really big on having the copy created word for word in a Word document or something like that. To be honest, when I build custom funnels for people and they give me the exact copy word for word, and there's no variance from that, it really, really limits the design of the page. At least for me, I feel very limited in the structure of the page and how I design certain elements, right? That's if you have to stick to it word for word. But at the same time, I do think it's valuable to have all the copy planned out in a general sense, not necessarily word for word, but even if it's just in point form, okay? So I actually have a copywriting worksheet that I fill out for each product or offer that I have. And I have my clients do the same. It doesn't matter if I'm building them a funnel. It doesn't matter if it's, writing them, a video sales letter or an email sequence or anything like that. For every specific offer, we have this worksheet filled out. And it's just a simple list of questions that are categorized in a way that makes sense. And they can be answered in point form, paragraphs, whatever you want. You can put links to a blog post that might have the answer. Now, what it does is it categorizes the questions into a series of sections, okay? Like your before status, your after status, your authority section, your offer section, and so on, okay? Now, what I like to do is assign a goal for each section of a page. So when you're building a page, no matter what builder you use, there's sections, right? You build it in sections. So you might have, a call to action section, a scarcity based section, a section talking about what they're going to gain and some of the features and the benefits out of it, a section that builds authority, a section that, adds to social proof. Okay, so there's a number of different sections when you're building a page. And I'd encourage you when you're building a page to assign a goal for that section. What is the purpose of that section? What are they coming in and coming out of that section with? Okay, so what I do is then I pull the copy from the corresponding section of the worksheet and I know what I have to work with instead of having to think about it on the fly. Okay, so I can, if we're getting to a gain section, I go to the gain section of the copywriting worksheet and I know what fields I can look at. And that just gives me ideas that I can use and pull into the funnel or the email or whatever it is that I'm writing copy for. Okay. Now I'll actually have a link to the worksheet in the show notes so that you can download a copy for free if you'd like to use it. Or you can go to platinumfunnels.com/copywriting worksheet to download it if you want. And of course, if you haven't joined the Funnels and Marketing Strategy Facebook group, go over there and join the group. And not only will you get a free copy of this worksheet, you'll get a few other resources for free as well as a free funnel. Now let's move on to number 5. Not testing your funnel. This is one that I shouldn't even have to put on this list, but it seems that people still think it's not as important as it is. Everybody I talk to understands that testing out your funnel is important, but it's an increasing number of people that I come across that it doesn't seem like they understand how important it is. Okay, so I'm sure everybody builds out a funnel with the intentions of going through it and testing it out. Like most things in life, projects like building out funnels tend to take much longer than we expect. And that's fine, right? A lot of times people start building funnels too late when there's a hard deadline, like a holiday or something like that the funnel's based around. Or, and this is a huge mistake, they get too excited about their new idea and they get so excited about it that they rush to get it out to the masses and they end up cutting corners. One of them being testing. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I want to get this out for Saturday," and they can come up with any reason for it. But at the end of the day, if it went out on Sunday, if it went out on Monday, the world wouldn't end, right? And it wouldn't change their conversions. Okay, so always make sure you go through that, right? So many people rush their funnels, and then afterwards they wonder why they didn't perform as well. So many people rush their funnels, and then they wonder afterwards why they didn't perform as well as they thought, or why certain tech issues came up. If they said, well, I know that I connected everything right. Look, the best humans in the world make mistakes. So always test your funnels, right? It's even better if you can choose a couple of random people who have nothing to do with marketing, have never built a funnel, they don't know how they work, and have them go through the funnels themselves on test mode, of course, right? And just tell them in the beginning, okay, these are the offers you're going to buy and these are the ones you won't. And have them all go through different scenarios and watch them as they go through the funnel and see where they get stuck. Maybe they can't find the no thanks option on an upsell because it's too hidden. And then instead of heading to the downsell, they just exit the browser because they get confused. They don't know what to do next. They don't want to buy. They don't know how to progress through the funnel without buying. That's a lost opportunity that you now have to rely on your email sequence to save. Maybe the people that are going through your funnels in a test don't quite understand what one of the offers is. And they can let you know that, maybe adjustments are needed in the copy. This type of information can be invaluable to you. And it's important that you take the time it requires to make sure that when your funnel finally launches, there are no hiccups that end up costing you money. So those are 5 common mistakes that I see people make when they're launching their funnels. Addressing these issues is a great start to making sure you're on the right track. Once again, if you want a free copy of my copywriting worksheet, then you can click the link in the show notes, or of course, head over to platinumfunnels.com/copywriting worksheet. As always, thanks so much for listening to the Funnels and Marketing Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the new episodes that come out every week. And if you have the time, a review would be greatly appreciated. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Funnels and Marketing Podcast. If you're ready for a high converting, done for you, or custom built funnel, head over to platinumfunnels.com.